So at this point, the NBA dream is more realistic, and I'm wondering if you're thinking, or is it?
Well, you know what? Once I made that commitment to the Navy, it was no longer in my hands. It was in their hands whether they would let me actually go and play pro basketball.
Yeah, because it's kind of a double-edged sword here. Do they want to hold you to
the
a
five-year
five-year commitment, or do they want to promote the academy by letting this superstar at some point broker a deal or give a deal and say, okay, now you go into the NBA?
I mean, and there were people on both sides of that coin. I mean, obviously, the tax-paying public pays a lot of money per student to go to for the academies, and you know, a lot of the older school people were thinking, you know, we paid for that kid to go to school. We're not going to let him get out of the Navy. He needs to serve. But then there were some other people thinking, well, he's the, you know, best example of what we have. You know, if we really want to get out there and show people what the Naval Academy is about, we should put him out there. You know, I guess the brass got together and figured out, you know, you're probably better off for us if you're out there. And so they made my commitment a 2-year active duty commitment and a 6-year reserve instead of a 5 active and a 1-year reserve.
You've got this commitment to the Navy hanging over your head, and any team that picks you has your commitment to the Navy hanging over their head.
Yeah.
And it's this team that picks you #1 overall, San Antonio, and
it created a really unique situation because the team that drafted me might lose that draft pick. So that's a pretty tough thing to do, saying, hey, if we pick this kid and he decides he doesn't want to play in San Antonio, all he has to do is sit around and wait for a year, and then his name will go back in the draft. Because I wasn't going to play, I had to sit out in the Navy. And so it just created this really unique situation for me that kind of gave me a lot of leverage, and yeah, it was kind of a perfect scenario for me.
It was, and they played along. I mean, they played ball.
They did. They
to the point where you couldn't not sign.
Well, you know, it was fantastic. I got a chance to go and visit the city, and they put on the biggest show they could. We had a big parade and going down you know, and that was all wonderful. But I wanted to know, are you guys committed to winning, right? Because that's all I care about. If I come there, you know, I hope I can help turn this around, but you're going to have to bring in other players in. You have to be committed to the process. And I did get that feeling that they were going to be committed to it.
Yeah, but it's so funny because, you know, you have a parade in your honor. They're signing you to $1 million a year deal while you're in the Navy. And then while you're...
Still wasn't going to be able to play for another year.
Right.
Yeah.
And then while you're in the Navy, you're like fetching coffee for people, and, you know, you're the new kid in the office as a civil engineer.
That's true. That's very
it's
true.
like you're like the
it was like living
Hannah
2 different
Montana.
lives.
You've got two lives.
But, you know, yeah, I lived kind of 2 different lives there for about a year and a half, and then I got a chance to come to San Antonio full time. But it was good, though. I think for me, it made me really appreciate, you know, going to work every day. You know, it just when you're doing that 9 to 5 every day, and I think it gave me a more professional approach when I came to the NBA, and I started actually going to practice, and I thought of it as a job.
I'm wondering, you being as conscientious as you are, you know that San Antonio has invested in you, even when they couldn't have you for 2 years. How much pressure are you putting on yourself to succeed and give them the rate of return on investment that they deserve?
No, I always felt like, you know, if they were going to pay me, I was going to give them their money's worth. And that was just my commitment. I just felt like I never wanted to go pick up my check with a paper bag over my head. You know, it just was
right. Stick them up.
Yeah. So no, I did feel very strongly that, you know, I was going to come in there and give them everything that I had. Everybody comes to practice saying, hey, I want to win a championship. But, you know, the key is, are you willing to do the things it takes to win a championship, right? Are you willing to make the sacrifices and put the time in? And so, you know, when I got to the Spurs, that was my first priority, is saying, look, you know, we need to get everybody on the same page, not just the players, but the coaching staff and the management, the ownership. Everybody needs to be on the same page. And so that's kind of, over the years, what we really worked toward.